You're listening to the Relationships Uncomplicated podcast. Relationship advice so valuable, you won't believe it's free. And now your host, relationship expert, Idit Sharoni.
Welcome back to another episode of Relationships Uncomplicated podcast, episode 68. I'm your host, Idit Sharoni, and today we're talking about how to recover from infidelity PTSD. In the past decade, I've spent thousands of hours speaking to couples in the aftermath of infidelity in different capacities: therapy, coaching, support groups. One issue that keeps coming up for these couples is post-trauma, or PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It is usually experienced by the hurt partner, and it appears after the revelation in the form of either intrusive thoughts, sometimes flashbacks, nightmares, and sometimes even hyper-vigilance. In some cases, it goes away as the couple heals and rebuilds trust, but in many cases, it doesn't simply go away and sometimes even becomes highly intrusive. There isn't one solution here, and that's why I intend to do more than one episode on this. But today I invited a special guest to help us understand infidelity post-trauma from a very unique point of view. But before I introduce our guest for today, I'd like to present this episode's sponsor. This episode is sponsored by my infidelity recovery and healing program, It's Okay to Stay. If you're struggling in the aftermath of infidelity but want to stay together, you can rebuild trust and heal through genuine expert help from me and my team personally. I started It's Okay to Stay after seeing couples therapy and self-help options often lacked essential components to help couples save their relationship after infidelity. It's Okay to Stay is a complete 8-week coaching program that involves an online roadmap course and one-on-one work with an affair recovery specialist. So if you have faith in your relationship and you want to stay together and heal, let's talk. I'm offering a 45-minute free consultation for couples who want to save their relationship and need expert help. If that's you, just go online to iditsharoni.com/45 and pick a time for a video call that both you and your partner can commit to. I'll hop on. We're first going to start with understanding your struggle, and then we're going to walk through It's Okay to Stay to see if the program is right for you. Look, so many couples try therapy and self-help methods only to be put at odds with each other. But that doesn't have to be you. With expert help, It's Okay to Stay will give you the clarity that you need to understand each other, to heal, and to find a path forward past infidelity. So again, all you have to do to book your free consultation is to go to iditsharoni.com/45. That's iditsharoni.com/45. I'll be honored to stand alongside with you on this journey. My guest today is Yael Haklai-Neagu. Yael is a licensed marriage and family therapist and a team member at my private practice. Yael specializes in couples therapy and relationships and affair recovery. She's a certified hypnotherapist and helps individuals recover from infidelity trauma, utilizing her hypnotherapy skills. I am so thankful that Yael is part of my team of experts, and I'm beyond excited for her to share some of her knowledge with you today. So here she is. Hi, Yael. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Idit. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm really excited for you to be on the show, and I can't wait for you to share your knowledge. But before we go anywhere, I really want you to give us a little bit of information about background about yourself, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
So as you said, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified hypnotherapist. I've been in this field for about 10 years. helping individuals and couples work on their relationships with themselves and others.
Mm-hmm.
In general, as you know, I'm very passionate about all the work about relationships, as I see them as the most precious essence we have in life that we need to invest in. I started my private practice focusing on life transitions and relocations, and slowly exposed to the world of infidelity and through you. And I'm very thankful for that because it's fascinating and I'm very excited to work in that niche.
Yes. So tell my listeners a little bit about how you got into this particular. So I think you always worked with relationships in different capacities. And I know you still do this today. It's not that you only work with couples in the aftermath of infidelity, but I think that this maybe area inside couples therapy is something that once you know that you can help people, it can get very interesting and a very humbling experience. So tell us a little bit about your work and how specifically you got into working with the couples in the aftermath of infidelity.
So yeah, I totally agree with you that it's a very humbling experience, especially as individuals and couples are going through this crisis, and it's the both ways crisis, as we talked before, experiencing great sense of loneliness. They're not able to share it with others. So I see how the work as a therapist in that area is very important. And actually, it's all happened through you. You and I have known each other for, I think, about 6-7 years. And we also worked around one another, trying to do some work together until eventually we decided to make it official. And once you exposed me to this world, I saw and I've noticed how much it's similar to life transitions in general, where everything that you've known about your life totally shifts. And you need to rebuild your understanding about your being and about your relationships, not only with your partner, but also with everyone around you. So it made a lot of sense to me to be part of your team of experts and to provide my own understanding to this crisis.
Yes, and we'll talk about your specific point of view, of all of this, which I think is very unique. So I mentioned before that you are a board-certified hypnotherapist. How does your knowledge in hypnotherapy help you with your clients?
So individuals in the aftermath of infidelity in many cases experience painful emotions, sometimes anxiety, panic attacks, intrusive thoughts. So in attempt to alleviate the traumatic symptoms, hypnotherapy can be a wonderful way to help clients to relate to those symptoms differently and make them less painful and less intrusive so they can actually manage their life in a more healthy and comfortable way.
And, I think that from my modest understanding of hypnotherapy, I think that there's almost like this access to someone's either subconscious or whatever you want to call it, where in regular talk therapy, I think we put so many barriers between the suggestions and the solutions and ourselves. Whereas in hypnotherapy, I think that maybe you are more open to those types of suggestions. I don't know if I'm using the right language, but you say it in your own words. I'm sure.
No, you're totally right. I think in general, when we're talking with people in a awake state, we tend to be busy in thoughts of, okay, what I'm going to answer, what my opinion about what the other person says, thoughts about what I need to buy, my errands. There is so many noise.
And many thoughts of why I can't do what you suggest.
Exactly. Why I cannot do. Why I can't do what you suggest. And resentment. Like we can put it like in a resistance. Resistance.
Okay.
In hypnotherapy, the relationship between myself and the client is different. The resistance no longer there, and it allows different communication and basically new connections to be possible, if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I guess we're not going to get too much into it because there's a lot there. There's a wealth of information. And we're not teaching you guys to do hypnotherapy. So I guess my next question that, every time I bring up hypnotherapy or even the word hypnosis, people have a lot of preconceptions. They think, no, I don't want to do it because I might get stuck in the past, or I don't want to do it because, I maybe lose my control, or you will control me, or, things that people think about hypnosis and don't do it because of it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree that most people know about hypnosis from TV or, like those performances that their purpose is to entertain. Mm-hmm. So here we're not trying to entertain anyone. We're not trying to make anyone to talk like, a chicken. And this is why it's called hypnotherapy. It's a therapeutic method. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to make anyone to do anything. We're working together to achieve new ways of experiencing your symptoms and to, on a path to healing.
Plus, it's done by a certified therapist or by a licensed therapist, I should say, which, it's not like just anyone can do it, because the person who is actually doing this with you or facilitating this with you is a person who is a therapist. So that makes a big difference, in my opinion.
Yes, and a certified hypnotherapist, which takes time to learn. And it's not everybody, like you just decide to do it and that's it.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, many times, I guess, these days we hear about a lot of quick courses to become this hypnosis master, different types of mastering. And so we're not talking about that. We're definitely talking about very, very responsible type of therapy. Okay, so now we're going to actually talk about the tips that you have for my listeners on how to recover from infidelity PTSD. And I say infidelity PTSD because I think that in our minds, most of us think about post-trauma as, the symptoms that happen to people that come back from the battlefield. And we see that a lot, unfortunately, soldiers coming back from Afghanistan or from a war zone, and they come back here, they come back home, and everything is okay here, but they are experiencing a lot of symptoms. And in the aftermath of infidelity, it's not necessarily a completely different situation. It's just that the trauma that the hurt partners experienced has to do with what they uncovered or what they learned that was happening in their relationship without their knowledge. So there's the element of secrecy here. And I guess the symptoms, therefore, can be different, although many times they are very similar to what, soldiers will experience or what people experiencing other types of trauma experience. And so from working, and I know that you have enough experience of working with hurt partners, can you tell us a little bit about the things that they tell you that they experience before we even get into the tips? What do you hear from people?
Oh, so as you mentioned, experiencing symptoms that relate to their trauma. So many times intrusive thoughts, nightmares, flashbacks. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it comes as anger bursts or anxiety or panic attacks or nonstop crying. Many individuals, and we're talking about the hurt partners, that doing the couples therapy and in the process of healing as a couple, finding themselves stuck in those symptoms that we mentioned. And what I'm hearing a lot is why I cannot move on, we're working so hard, why I'm stuck. Sometimes they feel as though they are just being resistant. to the process. So they start blaming themselves for all those symptoms, for all those thoughts as interfering the process healing as a couple.
Yes.
So if we go back to the tips, I think the first and most important one is acknowledging that what you're experiencing are symptoms that resulted from the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the soldiers that are coming back after war zone, and you mentioned that it's like you come back here and everything here is okay, but you're still stuck in this different world.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm seeing with individuals in the aftermath of infidelity is that everything that they've known about their life is no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
What their knowledge about relationships, their knowledge about their support system, their knowledge about their partners, their knowledge about love, their knowledge about trust, everything is different and affected by this huge crisis.
Yes.
So they basically need to learn how to be again.
How to be in this new reality.
Yeah. So no wonder it's traumatic. So first acknowledge that it's traumatic experience and do not relate to it as you being resistant to the healing process as a couple. This is your body reacting to this huge shift that you're experiencing in your life.
Yes. Yes, that is so important. So the first tip that you share with people is kind of stop blaming yourself. And sometimes people blame themselves and sometimes their partners blame them. You know, sometimes they'll say it out loud, saying, why can't you get over it? You need to get over it. You know, we're never going to move on. You're stuck in your thoughts, or you'll say it to yourself. And what you're telling people is no. What you're experiencing is actually a result of the trauma. Your body reacting to a very new world that you're living right now. In your reality, you lose your sense of coherence. You don't understand the world the way you did before, and you probably don't understand it at all at this point.
Totally. And I think now when you were talking, I was thinking about the type of clients that you and I are seeing are couples that want to heal after infidelity. So they choose the route of healing and recreating their relationship with their partners, which makes it even more challenging because at the same time, you want to move on, you want to forgive, you want to be able to heal your relationship. So what I'm doing with all those symptoms that interfere in this process of healing. So when you're talking about the hurt partner that blame themselves, they're blaming themselves for interfering in this process of healing. And this is when it becomes challenging.
Oh, so true. And what we do about that is we basically offer these people complementary services, because if I work with a couple and they're on this path to healing, but the hurt partner is experiencing post-trauma stress disorder, and they do feel like they're putting rocks on the way or blocking the way, then this is where I would bring you into our therapy, and not necessarily into our couples therapy, but you'll probably work individually with the hurt partner and help them in your way. But what we do is complementary because both of us come from the same point of view, frame of work. We understand infidelity almost in the same way. So we speak the same language. So I think that is really, really helpful, because what ends up happening to many of the couples that I see is that they get different services from different people. And one says this thing and the other one says the other thing. And then they read this book that said that. And then they listen to this podcast that said that. And they have like a soup of different voices in their heads talking, and they're so confused. And so I think that the fact that we're able to do that and come from the same place is pretty helpful, right?
And I see it in sessions with a hurt partner. Since I know what you're talking in the couples therapy, It helps me and it helps the client to work in a more effective way towards the same goal, which is healing.
Right. Okay, so this was your first tip, to just switch from blaming yourself for stopping and putting roadblocks on the way into seeing your symptoms as a result of the trauma. It's not that there's something wrong with you that you can't, move on. Mm-hmm. This is really a result of the trauma, and you can work on this. What's the second tip you want to give?
So once you acknowledge that you are experiencing traumatic symptoms, I would address the trauma in therapy, if needed, of course, and look for a trauma-informed therapist. Look for someone that understands that what you're going through is traumatic symptoms and will work together with you on healing and recovering from those symptoms.
Yes. Okay. So once you realize, okay, I am having those intrusive thoughts, not because there's something wrong with me and I don't really want to forgive, but actually because I'm experiencing post-trauma, then I also want to see what happens with it, right? Because in many cases, we find that the post-trauma symptoms will go away as you heal as a couple. If you make the right steps towards your healing, then these will go away. They will become less intense and less frequent in some cases, but in other cases, and sometimes it has to do with your healing process. So you're not really working on the healing. And when I say you, I mean both partners. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the healing process. And it's just your body reacting. Mm-hmm. And once you realize that and understand that, and it's not going away, this is the time to reach out to a therapist. And you mentioned trauma-informed. And what we mean by that is, sometimes people will be specifically trauma therapists. And sometimes they're going to be trauma-informed, meaning they will handle couples or they will help people in the aftermath of infidelity, but will also know how to handle the post-trauma symptoms. So just, if you look for someone to help you with this, just make sure that they have that kind of knowledge. And okay, so we're ready for our third tip, which is not a tip. What is it?
It's a disclaimer. It's very difficult. And many times clients, when they first hear about it, I get a lot of resistance. But the more we talk about it, the more it makes sense to them. So the third non-tip, it's actually mind shift. And what I'm working with my clients and I invite them to do is, instead of trying to get rid of the painful emotions, do the following. Be curious about those emotions or those symptoms. Explore them. And then it allowed you to relate differently to what you're experiencing.
So explain that a little bit.
I think the natural way of reacting to something that is uncomfortable or painful or interfering in what we want is to try to get rid of it or to resent it. And the energy that we're spending in trying to get rid of something, or the sense of resentment, places us in a constant connection to the emotion that we're trying to get rid of. So in simple words, the more we're trying to get rid of it, the more we think about it and the more we're trying to handle it. So when I'm suggesting, which is not easy, but it's when you feel those uncomfortable thoughts or emotions, when you feel angry or anxious or this emotional pain, don't resent it. Be curious about it. Think about it. What message my body or my mind trying to give me, what information I'm getting here. And by exploring it in a deeper way, it allows a new door for new options to be possible, if it makes sense.
Yes. So, for example, if a partner who's been hurt, who, let's say, found her or his partner in bed with someone, and they keep having that intrusive thoughts coming back, intruding them throughout the day, or other thoughts, just scary things about the relationship, then what normally we tend to do is we want to stop this thought, right? Mm-hmm. We want it to go away. And what you're suggesting is do not try to stop it, because the more you're going to try to stop it, the more you're going to think about it. It's like asking someone not to think about something, right?
Chocolate.
Don't think about chocolate right now. Don't think about whatever. And so by actually allowing it to just be and then looking into or trying to explore, that's how you can first understand more things about, and then you may be able to relate to it differently. Now, I think what Yael is trying to say here is, the disclaimer, I guess, is that it's not something that we necessarily think that you can do on your own. And we're not giving you a to-do list to do this, do that. It's probably more something that you would do with a therapist. But the important message that's going out to you today is the mind shift. The simple understanding that instead of trying to get rid of this intrusive thought, you're going to do the exact opposite.
It's instead of, let me just make it more, so it makes more sense. We talked that the couples that we're seeing are couples that are interested in healing their relationship. Mm-hmm. And they're in the process of healing. So when those thoughts are coming and you're trying to push them away because you feel like they're interfering, what I'm saying is instead of fighting those thoughts, which is exhausting, being curious, explore them with respect to yourself and respect to what you've been through. Allow it to be part of your healing process, because when you stop resisting it and you start to explore it, then you may find something that you didn't know, and information that you didn't know about what are your needs and what are your wants in this situation. And yes, it's not the same relationship. It's a different way of trusting, your partner. Yes. So it's a valuable information how to be comfortably aware in this new relationship. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yes. And again, I don't know if this is something that you can take as a, something that you can apply tomorrow. So we just wanted to tease your mind about it and make you, open your mind to thinking about problems in a different way. So I guess if I think about, my biggest takeaway from all of this is, I think that last point you made about the mind shift, about allowing this change to happen.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
This is something that I want to add. Be kind to yourself and to that process. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy. No. We are aware of it. We are with clients every day. So we know it's not easy. Okay, Yael, thank you so much for being on the show today. Tell my listeners where they can find out more about you.
Thank you for having me. And if you want to learn more about me, you are more than welcome to go to iditsharoni.com/Yael. And
that's YAEL, right?
Yes. And there we can learn more about me, and you can also schedule a 15-minute free consultation with me.
Yes, right. So absolutely. So if you are interested and you want to learn more about how Yael works or how we work in our practice, definitely use that opportunity to book a free consultation with us. Okay, time to say goodbye. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you can get alerts when each episode is out. And I'd love it if you can rate the show on iTunes or on any other platform that you're in, so we can get as many couples getting this valuable information as possible. Have an amazing rest of your day or evening. We can't wait for the next episode. So thank you for listening, and bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Relationships Uncomplicated. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. See more information at iditsharoni.com and alinagershonoff.com.